What up, people? So I had another recent watching experience, and I went to go see and it was exactly what I expected, especially since I figured it was going to get even stupider and even more absurd than the last one. I'm surprised they can even keep these going and add more levels of ridiculousness on top of the prior movies. But Justin Lin and company apparently just gave up, and just to keep this saga going, they all just shrugged and told themselves exactly what the title of this review is. Now, I'm not saying that it's bad. I mean, it was bad, but it kept my attention because I was laughing probably harder than any YouTube poop I've ever watched. There are some sequences that are even so Looney Tunes level that even Looney Tunes itself couldn't even measure up. I mean, borderline off the rails and into disposing any form of logic, big or small. There are so many moments where I just threw my head back and started rolling my eyes and laughing. I mean, this really was a cartoon. There's a small part where Tyrese Gibson even acknowledges that they might be invincible, and I'd like to say that this whole self-aware thing that the writers thought that was funny fell flat and wasn't even remotely clever. But this movie doesn't want to warrant any attempt to be clever because it's way too dumb to try to be that smart. Now, I know that these movies are just having a plot for an excuse for the action scenes, and some movies have done it better, but I'm still going to spoil most of this movie, so click through this part of the vid if you don't want me to spoil anything that you believe surprisingly isn't worth spoiling. So, in 3, well, for one, I love how the characters just drop into the movie, no info on what they've been doing, they just poof and say, the plot is starting, Dom, we need your help. Like Gibson, Luda, and hot British computer whiz, and Mia just drop right into the plot portal and tell Dom that they need to do action movie things. I mean, it's ridiculous. It was so distracting. So basically, we learn only now that Dom had a brother named Jacob Toretto, and apparently he's mad at Dom because Dom is mad at him for killing his father because his father was a meanie head to Jacob, and Dom retaliates by challenging Jacob to a race in exchange for leaving the town for scheming to kill his father. So of course, Dom wins and Jacob leaves and learns how to be a bad guy years later. But it was apparent that Jack faked his death to avoid his debts, but this random character named Linder purposely caused the plan to go wrong, and Dom and Jacob's dad actually did die. So Jacob went rogue for Mr. Nobody for no reason and wants to steal a power source that looks like a Tesseract from the freaking Avengers, and he wants to control technology, I think. Now, there are a lot of issues with the plot. One of the worst plot elements thrown into this movie was the fact that Jacob is too late to be mentioned as being Dom and Mia's lost brother. There's dialogue and loads of flashbacks that break the pacing almost more than Man of Steel's, that try to force in so much context to try to forcibly bring everything full circle. This might have been the worst paced Fast and Furious film in the series, and I thought that Fast 5 and Furious 7's pacing were bad. But this one just stops to explain instead of just getting on with it. The most hilarious might have been how they forced Han's story into the narrative, as if they didn't screw the timeline enough by forcibly shifting the chain of events of Han when he died in Tokyo Drift, and apparently making that event happen before Fast and Furious 6. Like, are you kidding me? I mean, I guess that explains why Dom magically looks younger in 3, and then that very same night he looks a little older all of a sudden. I mean, yo, get out of here. So yeah, they come with this convoluted explanation that forces Jason Statham's character back into the plot, and all of a sudden Han randomly fakes his death because he was protecting some out of the blue character that we've never heard of before this movie, because her DNA holds the key to unlocking the power source, because apparently Jacob was after something Han was looking for and killed off Mr. Nobody's plane. I'm not sure why he turned against him, it's never explained. I mean, you see what I'm saying? This film's fun factor is bogged down by this hefty degree of insane plot, and it's just annoying. I mean, and going back to Jacob, I'm not even sure why he's even mad at Dom. I guess because Dom didn't believe him? But why didn't Jacob tell him that it wasn't his fault in a shorter span instead of helping Charlize Theron and some pipsqueak bad guy take over the world? I mean, it doesn't connect at all. Why didn't Jacob just put effort to contact Dom and try to explain things? Why didn't he talk to Mr. Nobody and say, I know you recruited my brother, I need you to speak with him? I mean, I don't understand this heavy vendetta demeanor that Jacob is carrying around. They try so hard to connect everything because John Cena was a wrestler available for casting, because the beef between Rock and the Vin Diesel thing is never ending apparently. There's just so much other crap that just took me out, such as how the writers not understanding how a bulletproof vest works, and how Tyrese Gibson and Luda were at their least funny and their most annoying. Dom using the rope of a bridge to slingshot the car from one cliff to the other resulting in one of the stupidest things I've ever seen in my life. Oh, here's a good one. So basically the plot device for the action scenes is that there's this super duper electromagnetic magnet thing, and it's in Dom and company's hideout, and when Jacob is free, when they capture him, his men break through and save him, but they don't destroy any of the technology that the good guys were using to track them, and they don't even salvage the magnet device. Like, homie, you played yourself, idiot. And I also like to include that I guess Charlize Theron's character, God, I can't stand her, is a reoccurring villain for however God knows long this series is going to be running. I just don't know, and I don't care. None of the characters were interesting. They were just plot devices in their own freaking thing. And yes, some of the characters do go into space, and the outer space visuals look awful. That I feel like the filmmaker should have at least watched Gravity to actually make the space sequences look more convincing, because that was just bad. I mean, it was just terrible. So yeah, final thoughts were that, I mean, it was a fun, stupid movie, but they've really taken this series too far now. This has to be there has to be a line that's being crossed, and they're on that half of the line, barely crossing over, and people are gonna get sick of this crap. I mean, I know I'm teetering closer to being sick of it. It's the highest grossing movie this year so far, so you know what that means. But I guess I gotta be generous, because like I said, I did have fun, but it was just so distracting. So I'm gonna just give it a 2 out of 5. I don't know. I know some people will say, stop complaining, just watch it for the action, bro. I mean, I do watch movies for action, but at least they have a plot, story, and characters I can at least get into. I mean, I'd rather watch this a second time than try to watch Six Underground again, because at least Justin Lin can shoot decent action when he's not doing American shaky cam crap. But yeah, I guess there's an audience for this trash, and I personally think that I'm done with this saga. So see it if you want. If you like these movies and you're okay with the direction they're taking them, then I'm pretty sure you'll like it. But for me, like I said, I'm very, very close to checking out. So yeah, I saw The Tomorrow World, directed by that guy that did the Lego movie, and it was meh. I mean, it had a flawed yet still interesting premise. And I do like time travel and aliens killing humans and humans killing aliens, so that's a plus of an interest. I like the idea of writers trying to incorporate different concepts involving humans versus aliens anyway, so yeah, this seemed like it was gonna be fun in some sense. I guess my biggest complaint, or one of my biggest complaints, is that the time travel logic, much like the Edge of Tomorrow, kinda cheats. I mean, with minor spoilers, I don't understand why they would send humans to the future without certainty that most would live to return with information. I mean, they send humans to the future sent by future soldiers to gather information about how to combat them, but after 12 months they finally found a solution and no one from the future could figure out that themselves. I mean, 3 months maybe, but an entire year just seems a little too far-fetched to me. Now, I might do a spoiler review for this movie because I only saw it once and I don't remember everything, so I'm not even sure if I'm actually right about a lot of these things that I saw. Chris Pratt was okay. I felt like he was a little miscasted. He's a pretty charismatic actor, but not one that really does well with emotional moments. Those seem to be very forced to me, and I couldn't really find those scenes convincing. The majority of the cast was good, especially J.K. Simmons. The creature designs were pretty great and were definitely intimidating. I found the action to be entertaining at first, then as this 2-hour and 40-minute movie went on, the shooting aliens thing just got kind of dull for me. I can only watch people shooting aliens for a certain amount of time. I mean, I can watch James Cameron's Aliens movie 1,000 times, and you know, the movie's 2.5 hours long, but the action is well branched out respectively, and it doesn't overstay its welcome. And it doesn't help that the movie clearly looks like it was filmed during the pandemic, because the visual and special effects and set pieces started to show its obviousness, so I was taken out several times. So I have to make a correction here. The Tomorrow War was not filmed during the pandemic. It was actually filmed in 2019 into early 2020, and Amazon bought the rights after the pandemic, so it was released digitally before it was going to be released theatrically. So my apologies for that mistake. I'm glad that I did my research first, or let me say afterwards I did this whole thing. So yeah, and that ending, like I said, I'll get into what bothers me maybe in a longer video. So I guess I'm being a little too hard on this movie, considering that it's really just a blockbuster summer movie, and I'm glad that we're still having those. I just wish the characters and the threat were a little more developed. In a short length probably would have helped the movie too, because I was getting bored. So I guess my final generous rating is a 2.5 out of stars. I think some people will enjoy this more than I do, and that's a good thing, so no harm, no foul. But overall, if you enjoyed the video, smash that like button. Definitely leave a subscription if you're interested in more content. I'm going to try to keep this going, and I hope you all have a great day or a great time or a great summer or whatever. Peace out and stay safe. Love y'all.